There's also a column that I wrote a few weeks ago called The Profit of Protest. It's on my website as well in July, the month of July, 2013. And I was talking about the iced tea and Skittles. I'm so sick of hearing those three words, iced tea and Skittles, as if they had something to do with the death of Trayvon Martin. And to even make it more ridiculous, those people who protested initially against his killing, not the verdict, but early on when he got killed, they protested by, guess what? Going and buying Skittles and iced tea and holding them up in the protest. Now, who do you think profited from that? The profit of protest. Why in the world would you protest against wrongdoing by going and economically empowering companies that have no interest whatsoever? Wrigley and Mars, the company that makes Skittles, they were embarrassed at the windfall that they got. They came out, oh, we didn't have anything to do with this. These people just went out and bought them. You know, yeah, we made a lot of money, but don't blame us. We didn't have anything. We didn't encourage people to go out and buy more Skittles. Black people actually bought more Skittles and held them up when they walked in protest of this young brother's killing. What is that doing? How did that have any effect on the outcome? Had absolutely no effect. It did have a profit effect on the businesses. Even folks went out and bought hoodies. Now, you know black folks didn't sell them to them. They couldn't buy the Skittles and iced tea from a black grocery store, so you know who made that money. And I'm just thinking how ridiculous it is that we react to things that are serious by empowering and enriching other people in the process. Makes no sense at all. The people back in 1955 when Emmett Till was killed, Emmett Till was, you know, he's being compared now to Trayvon Martin. He went to the store too, and he and a couple of friends, and he bought some bubble gum. And of course we know what happened to him. But the people down there who marched and protested against his killing and his mother in Chicago, they didn't go and buy all the bubble gum. We don't even know the name of the bubble gum. They didn't go and buy it and hold it up in their protest about his murder. We just do things that don't make any sense. Our dollars don't make any sense because we're so hung up on symbolism rather than substance. Skittles and iced tea. I said I would never write a column mentioning those words, but I overruled myself and did it anyway because I had to make that point about the profit of protest. The profit of protest. And as I said, these companies had a windfall in an uptick of all of the sales that they had of two inanimate objects that had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the murder of Trayvon Martin. And they got so much money they were embarrassed. Man, this is great, but you know, we better put out a PR statement about this, make black folks understand we didn't encourage people to buy all these. We did. They just did it on their own. But it points out to me how misguided we are in our efforts to respond to mistreatment and injustice and all the other things that affect us negatively in this country. And as I started out with the speech from Martin Luther King, the trumpet of conscience in 1968, he said the emergency we now face is economic. Well, if it's an emergency, why are we throwing our money away? Why are we giving it to everybody except ourselves? Why are we not leveraging our dollars and getting more in the marketplace? Reciprocity, at least, in the marketplace. Why are we not doing that? If the emergency we now face, and this was in 1968 that he said this, 2 months before he was killed. Horace Sutter said the same thing in the 50s here in Cincinnati, something similar to what King said in 68. We need to deal with economic empowerment. And I say it today. If we don't leverage the dollars that we have. We need to stop complaining about what people are doing to us on all fronts. On all fronts. Because beneath everything, as Booker T said a long time ago, lies economics. So we can complain about injustice, we can complain about social issues, we can complain about political issues, but if we don't have an economic base from which to operate, an economic foundation that we can leverage against these things, we're not going to get anywhere. It's always going to be symbolism over substance. So I want you to look around. Those of you who went, those of you who are willing to do an honest assessment of where you are as an individual, those of you who are willing to do an honest assessment of where we are in this city collectively, and make some commitment toward real substantive change as far as our economic base goes. Because if we don't, like I said, we'll be looking, or they'll be looking, our children and grandchildren will be looking 50 years from now, saying the same things that we are saying, and the facts prove it out. We have not moved 1 inch toward a better economic position in this country over the last 50 years. And to me, it's an insult to Dr. Martin Luther King. It's an insult. He died fighting for an economic issue, and yeah, we have a lot of streets named after him, and you know, we sing songs and we repeat his speeches and everything. But is that really why he died? Did he die so we could have streets named after him? Did he die so that we could have streets named after him that have no black ownership on those streets? Go up and down Martin Luther King in Cincinnati, Ohio, and see how much black people own on Martin Luther King. Did he die so that every city could have a Martin Luther King street and it's unsafe to walk down those streets? That black people are assaulting other black people on Martin Luther King Drive, Martin Luther King Street, Martin Luther King Avenue? Aside from the fact that we don't own anything on those streets. Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. Don't we have a Rosa Parks Street or something downtown? They were so excited, oh, we're going to name this street after 2 blocks or something after Rosa Parks. What do black people own on Rosa Parks? What do black people own on Martin Luther King Avenue? That's the way we should be thinking. That's what we should be looking at. That's what we should be observing. And that's what we should be pointing out to our children. These people didn't die so they could have names on streets. They died so we could have names on property, or names on businesses, names on banks, names on grocery stores that we often complain about. We don't have no way to buy food for our elders. What kind of silliness is that? And we're spending $1 trillion a year, and we're complaining and really frightening our elders, saying they can't eat. They have no way to get food. What does that say about us? And what does that say to our young people? Does it say to them, hey, our elders, our adults can't provide for us. They don't have any jobs to give us. And now they say they can't even feed us. Suppose Kroger and all these other stores, just out of some, I don't know, legal move, say, well, we're not selling any more food to black people. Suppose that happened. What would you do? Would you throw up your hands, oh, well, it is here? Or would you go to work and say, hey, we used to provide for ourselves. Let's do that. We have the money, we have the resources, we have the talent, we have the skills. Let's just do it. But why should it get to that radical position in order for us to start thinking about how we can do that? That's what we should have been doing all along from the 60s. We had an economic base, but we didn't leverage it. We didn't continue to grow it. We abandoned it.